Welcome everybody to the Driver's License Issues webinar hosted by Kansas Legal Services. My name is Cynthia Ferguson. I'm an intern here for the summer, and we're going to talk mostly about driver's license suspensions and how to get a restricted license, but we'll kind of touch base on a few other common issues that people have. After that, I'm going to end up passing off the mic to Christy Campbell, who's going to talk about our clinic and how to get additional help if after this webinar you still have questions. And then we will have a little bit of time at the end for any questions you feel comfortable just asking to everyone else. We will stop the recording at that point, so you don't need to worry about anything getting posted later. So first off, if you are having any kind of driver's license issue and you're needing help from us or the DMV, having your driver's license status is very important. There are many different ways or many different statuses that your driver's license could have. If you don't know the current status of your driver's license, there is a quick and easy way to go ahead and look it up. If you go to the Kansas Department of Revenue and then go to their Division of Vehicles, you can scroll down on their main page. If you look where this red arrow is down here, you'll see the driver's license status check. And once you go to that, you'll be able to type in your driver's license number, your first and last name as it appears on your driver's license, and then your date of birth. Some clients that we've had already have had an issue where maybe their name is not correct on their driver's license and they'll try to type it in as it should be, not as it currently is. That will not allow you to pull up your status. So even if there's a typo on your driver's license, make sure you type it in as it's shown. Same with if there's a hyphen, if you have a hyphenated last name or if your name is spaced out on your last name, just go ahead and type it in that way. Then it's going to show you a couple different little things. It'll show you how the DMV has your status, what name, what address it has if you end up scrolling down, and then any violations you have. There are a few different statuses that you can have: valid, expired, you could have it suspended, restricted, revoked, or other. So if your driver's license is valid, congratulations, you have nothing else you need to worry about. If your driver's license is expired, there are ways to renew it online, or you can set up an appointment with your local DMV to go ahead and just go in. You might have to take the written test again or the driver's test again and get that updated. If your license is suspended, we're going to show you what to do for that. If your license is already restricted, you're going to have to wait out that restriction period, potentially pay off any fines or fees that you still have. If your license is revoked, you have a 3-year waiting period before you can get it to be a restricted license or reinstated. And then if your status is other, you're going to need to follow up with the DMV to find out why. Other is kind of their broad catch-all for anything that's not this. It could mean that you need to update your vision. So if you have any issues with seeing and they've restricted you from not being able to drive at night, that could be there. If you failed the written test at one point, your status could be other. If you enrolled in driver's education, but it never went through to the DMV, that's another reason it could be on other. So definitely, if your status is that, go ahead and follow up with the DMV first. So going from a suspended license to a restricted. So this is something that we are encouraging a lot of people to do, and our clinic will be trying to tackle. So the updated numbers for the Kansas Department of Revenue are showing over 200,000 Kansas residents have a suspended license right now, and about half of those are from Sedgwick County and Wichita. About 71% of these suspensions are just because people have some overdue court fees or maybe an unpaid ticket or two. This is very disproportionate to the national statistic, where only about 40% of people with suspended licenses just have it due to unpaid fines and court fees. So this is definitely an issue that is disproportionately affecting minorities as well as people with lower income. There are multiple situations where a driver who has a suspended license is eligible to apply for a restricted though. So a restricted license is going to allow you to be able to drive to and from work and school, to and from any drug or alcohol counseling that you have. If you have any medical appointments or a medical emergency and need to go to the hospital, you can do that. If your employment requires you to drive to multiple places, if you do some kind of moving company delivery, you'll be able to do that. And then any place that is mandated by the court, so if the court's requiring you to go to some kind of therapy or counseling, you can do that as well. A restricted license will last for about 12 months. You can definitely end the restricted period sooner if you get all of your court fees and fines paid off before then, but otherwise you have the full 12-month period to try to get any additional fees taken care of. After that point, your license will become suspended again if you don't take care of those fees during that 12 months. The form can be submitted online or mailed, and then it has a $25 fee to apply. I do not believe that fee is waivable, but some of the reinstatement fees are. So if you have a concern on a reinstatement fee, let us know on that and we can help you out to try to get that waived. So trying to find out whether or not you're eligible to apply for a restricted license, first off, you definitely have to have a Kansas driver's license. If you have a license from Colorado, Missouri, Arizona, somewhere else that you have had an issue where it's become suspended, revoked, or you have a DUI there, you're going to have to take care of that case first, and then you can apply to get a Kansas driver's license and go from there. Your status must also be suspended. If you have the status of revoked, as mentioned earlier, you're going to have a 3-year waiting period of that revocation before you can apply to get a restricted license. So we highly encourage you, if you currently have a suspended license, don't drive until you at least get a restricted if possible, and try to talk to us if you're having issues applying for that restricted license, because the last thing you want is to get the revocation of your license for 3 years. Once again, if you have a driver's license status of other, follow up with Driver Solutions. You cannot have a driving while suspended conviction either. If you have the driving while suspended conviction, you're going to have to resolve that sentence. A lot of times it can be a mandated 90 days suspension or revocation. You could have excess fees or fines tacked onto any other tickets you have. And in some rare cases, you could have a short period of jail time of 30 days or 60 days. Any reinstatement fees must be paid before you apply. So if your license is suspended, you have to get your license reinstated before you can even apply for a restricted. Reinstatement fees can be paid online. They can also be waived, and we do have forms for that if you are unable to go ahead and pay those reinstatement fees. Let us know or look on our website, and we'll show you where to find those at the end. You also must have car insurance if you are the owner of a vehicle. If you don't own a vehicle, you don't have to worry about that, but there are some issues that come with driving without insurance and releases of liabilities if you were to get into an accident with someone else while driving without insurance. Last thing I want to mention in here is that the DUI situations are a lot more complicated. So we're not going to dive too deep into it in this webinar, but if you do have a DUI issue, if you have additional questions on that or the ignition interlock devices, please follow up with our clinic over the next couple weeks. So release of liability, if you had an accident, you're going to have to get a release of liability from all individuals involved if you didn't have insurance. So this means if someone else borrowed your car, you need a release of liability from them. You need a release of liability from the owner of the other car. You need a release of liability from the other driver, any passengers involved. You are not eligible to get this affidavit filled out if there were minors involved or if government property was damaged or if you're being sued. If none of those apply to you and you're able to get the release of liability from all people involved, and you can either show that you don't have a vehicle or that you have insurance now, you can go ahead and get your license reinstated. And the way you're going to find this form, if you go once again to the Kansas Department of Revenue and their vehicles homepage, you can go over to forms, and then you'll scroll down to their suspended license section, and it's just going to be right at the top, the affidavit form. And it's going to look a little bit like this. It is a fillable PDF, so you can type on it on your computer if you want, or you can download it, print it off, and fill it out. It can be submitted online or mail. Right now, the DMV is mostly trying to do stuff online or mail. They are doing some appointments, but you can't just walk into the DMV right now due to COVID. They are not doing any driving tests right now, though. So if you need a driving test on top of any of this, unfortunately, that's still delayed until further notice, but they can take care of any written tests, medical examinations, affidavits, and releases of liability. So some of the additional questions that we've had from some clients is, if your license is revoked, are you eligible to get a restricted license? As we answered earlier on, no, unfortunately, once your license gets revoked, you will have a waiting period of 3 years. And anytime that you violate that revocation period, the 3 years resets. So if your license is revoked for 3 years and 1 year into that, you get pulled over for driving while revoked, you're going to reset your 3 years, and that 1 year is now nothing. What do you need to do to get a restricted license? First, you're going to want to make sure that you are eligible, like we were talking about earlier. We do have a tool on our website called Guide Clearly under our suspended licenses page. You can fill out some answers to some questions, and it'll tell you whether or not you're eligible to apply, and it'll take you to the form. So if you type on our Kansas Legal Services site, driver's license issues in Kansas or driver's license issues, you should get to this page. And as you scroll down, you're going to see a little window on the left that'll say restrictors driver's license eligibility. If you hit the play button, it's going to start off with some basic questions asking whether or not you have a driver's license issue in Kansas, if you know the status of your license, and if at any point, you say no to having a driver's license issue in Kansas, I'll tell you, unfortunately, we can't assist you in that, and that you'll have to talk to the state that your issue's in. If you didn't know the status of your driver's license, it would end there and direct you to call Driver Solutions to find that out. But if you're able to get through the whole first 2 pages of questions here, then it's going to end up giving you a link to go to the form. At this point, sorry about that. So the form is just going to be the simple one that I showed earlier, where you're going to say whether or not you've been in an accident. You're going to fill out your date of birth, your name, license number, say that you currently have insurance or that you don't own a vehicle, and that form is going to have to be filled out in front of a notary. We have some notaries at our office. We aren't taking in-person meetings right now, but we're able to do virtual ones through Zoom, Google Hangouts, Google Meets, and as long as our notary can see you, fill out the paper and sign the paper, and then you mail it back to us, we're able to go ahead and sign and stamp that and get it sent into the DMV for you. If that's a little more complicated and you'd rather try to go in person, there are some banks that have notaries that are allowing in-person meetings, so you can always attempt to call your bank as well and see if they'd be willing to notarize it for you. Some more frequently asked questions we have is, once you have that restricted license, how do you get it unrestricted? So restricted licenses are maxed out at 12 months, and you have that entire time to pay off any and all outstanding court costs and fees. This isn't just going to be your traffic fees. If you have anything else you filed with the court that you haven't paid off, maybe a filing fee, maybe any divorce stuff, child support, that can be something that prevents you from getting your license reinstated and unrestricted. So you have that whole 12 months to take care of that. If you get it all paid off, you can get your license unrestricted again. And then a random one that we've had is, some people thought they could take the written driver's test online. This is not true. We don't know who started saying that was the case, but we have confirmed there are practice tests online. Anything else online is not going to fulfill your test requirements to obtain a driver's license, and all driver's education courses must be in person to be valid as well. So you are encouraged to take practice tests, to go through driver's education if that is something that you think would help you, but don't rely on something from the internet being valid for your license. You will still have to take the written test or go through a face-to-face driver's education course. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Christy to talk about how to apply for our clinic and what that's going to look like.
Hello, so I'm Christy Campbell. I am the statewide pro bono director for Kansas Legal Services. And while my main job is usually planning a bunch of clinics across the state, things have looked a little bit different this year. So we're going to try this. A lot of our past clinics have had some form of virtual accessibility. This will more than likely be the first one that we're going to do where it's everything online. So what this means is you don't have to come to us, we don't have to come to you. You can get advice from your home, from your computer, without having to contact anyone face to face, so to speak. So like most of our clinics, we are Kansas Legal Services. So we're a nonprofit organization, we're a law office. We help low-income individuals with lots of different issues. We get lots of different funding sources, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But some of those funding sources indicate why we need some of the information we ask for you. So the whole point of this process and this clinic process specifically is to get you either advice or assistance in the issue you need. So let's say you do have a driver's license issue and you've gone to our website, you've gone through all of the awesome stuff that Cynthia has done, and you're like, nope, this does not answer my questions. Then what you're going to need to do is you'll go online or apply by phone, and we'll have that information in a second. You'll put in an application. The application can take time. There's a bunch of questions on there about financial eligibility. There's a bunch of questions that ask where you are, your address, what your social security number may be. And in theory, you don't have to even give your entire social security number. You can just give us the last 4 numbers. And the only reason we ask that is so that we can then figure out if there's more people that have your exact name, we know which one we're talking to. So a lot of the information we ask for in our application goes into a computer. We keep it, it's at our offices, it's in our databases, and the only other people who have access to that information are the attorney or whoever is talking to you, and then some of our grant people that come in every couple of years to review that information. They don't share that information with anyone else. So that jumps to the next stage, which is eligibility. A lot of our clinics end up having some sort of eligibility requirement. And what I mean by that is they'll have income limitations, they'll have age limitations, or they'll have some other topic. So you have to show up with that issue. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So in order to qualify for this clinic, you're going to have a driver's license issue. That doesn't mean that we don't help with other issues. We certainly do. We help with lots of civil issues. We do expungements. We do lots of other issues. And we can certainly help you with those. So if you do want help with that, you can still put in the same application. It'll have you online or by phone ask which kind of issue you have, and you can certainly tell them, we'll get you help with that issue. You may not know always what legal issue you're dealing with, and that's kind of the next step. A lot of people, and especially on this webinar, you probably have a driver's license issue. You may not know specifically what your driver's license issue is. That's okay. It's enough to just say, hey, I need help with my driver's license. The step after that is within 48 hours after putting in an application, our goal is to get some sort of turnaround, whether you're talking to me, talking to an attorney, talking to Cynthia, getting some sort of advice and a process for you. And then we'll figure out the next step. If we need to do something else, if we need to assist you with drafting some documents, if we need to pass you on to someone else, we'll figure all that out. Next slide, please. So basically for this clinic is kicking off tomorrow, although I have been told that if you call today, it will be okay. We will still figure it out. It goes until August 7th. So what that means is you go online or you put in an application, and if you can mention that, that would be great. We have talked to our intake staff. They're phenomenal. They will ask all sorts of crazy questions that you will think, why are they asking that? I'll explain. So we get funding from Legal Services Corporation, and because of that, there are a lot of things we have to do. One of the big requirements, one of the big things that kicks a lot of people out is you have to be a citizen or have some sort of citizenship status in order for us to help you. So if you do not have that status, we'll talk about options, but ultimately that's one of those things we have to have. We have to have you verbally saying, and if we see you in person, we have to have you sign a statement saying you are a citizen or get a copy of whatever your status is. So that's one of those fun little things. This specific clinic does not have any income limitations. So if you're applying and you're like, hey, I need help with this, we're still going to ask you your income information. And that's because all of our grant people that we have to report to need that information. I know it's confusing, I know it's frustrating, and it takes time. I understand that. Unfortunately, we try to make it as quick as possible. It will still take time, and we still have to get that information from you in order to process your application. Even if it won't help in the end, and even if it's not something that we're going to kick you out of the clinic for, we still have to have that information. So the last part is you will get partnered with somebody, and that's kind of one of those things, we call it advice, whether it's assistance, advice, whatever you want to call it. In order for us to assist you, you have to have an application in. You can't just call us and say, hey, I want to do this, and then we're just going to spout out stuff over the phone. That doesn't help us, that doesn't help you, it doesn't protect your rights, and it doesn't protect us. So that's why we have to have an application done. So what this type of clinic specifically is going to do, we'll have you apply, like I said, either online or by phone. We'll get the application, we'll review it, and we're going to try and give you a plan to figure out what we can do to help you. We do encourage you to look at the website. The website does have a lot of information, and I think you'll be amazed with how much information you can get just from looking at that. But if you look at it and you're like, nope, I do not understand any of this, this is crazy, I cannot figure out what they're telling me to do, by all means give us a call and we'll figure out what we can do next. Next slide, please. So where to apply? How do you go to? So kansaslegalservices.org is our website. If you go to how to get help, and then it also has the 1-800 number. The 1-800 number, you will be on hold for probably a short time. I can't estimate that. It depends on the time of the day. But you can call them and we will get an intake staff that will talk to you and get all that information from you. Or you can apply online via the links there. If right underneath that you see the suspended driver's license, what you can do, that's where you're going to go. If you have questions, you're like, I don't know, I may be able to do this by myself. Let's see what we can figure out. That's where you'll start. It has all the important links and all the important information that we talked about today. Next slide, please. So this is the online application site, and this is the place you'll go. You can go to the next one, yeah, just so you know what's happening. And you can run without an account. You can proceed with the first step to getting assistance, or like I said, you can also do this online. But it'll help walk you through a process and ask you some additional questions about your case and what we can help you with. And this is the most important information. This is how to apply. So the 1-800 number is there, expect wait times, and we also have kansaslegalservices.org, and we've showed you all the websites and what you can do. So we tell you to mention the driver's license clinic, but like I said, our intake staff are awesome. Anybody who applies with a driver's license issue between now and August 7th is going to get to talk to us. Don't worry, we will talk to you. So I'll hand it back over to you, Cynthia.
All right, so we still have about actually a good half hour. If anybody has any additional questions, anything that was a little unclear that we can try to help you with right now, or if you need me to just go back to a slide attending this, and I look forward to trying to work with some of you on getting your licenses either into a restricted or getting them reinstated for you in the next couple weeks.